Hey, I'm Rusty.
And I'm Heather.
And we're the Bryants, and this is the Redeemed Marriage Podcast.
We are here to encourage healthy marriages, strengthen wounded marriages, and begin the process of restoration to broken marriages.
We aren't licensed counselors, but we are a redeemed couple that loves the Lord and wants to help you journey through this messy, challenging, and fun part of life called marriage. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. We are recording this on the day after Christmas. Not sure when you're listening to this. Could be soon. Could be a year from now. Could be, who knows when you're listening to this. But we want to wish you a Merry Christmas. We have had a wonderful Christmas around the Bryant house. We are worn out. And
tired.
And we don't even have little kids anymore. It just
I think we're old.
Oh, maybe that's it. But we just feel drained today, and yeah, we need a rest.
Yeah.
And
such a good sermon this morning on resting.
Our sermon this morning at our church was about resting and being very intentional about unplugging and making sure that you take time to rest. But don't unplug yet, because we want you to listen to this podcast. So we are going to wrap up this little mini-series that we started at the beginning of December. We promised that we would go for 4 weeks, and we would tell marriage advice, marriage lessons from 4 of our favorite Christmas movies. We did Christmas Vacation. We did Jingle All the Way. Last week we did It's a Wonderful Life. And we're going to wrap things up today with a classic that's got to be at the top of everybody's Christmas movie list. We're going with Home Alone.
One.
So, the first one, the original one.
The best one.
Okay, so full disclaimer, we have not seen the new version.
Yeah, that was on our list of things to do this week, but it didn't get done.
It didn't get done, and then our kids said, well, it's past Christmas, we can't watch it now. Okay. So, hey, if it's worth watching, put a little note in the comments and let us know that we should watch the new version. But we're going to go old school, back to the very first one, the Macaulay Culkin version. Mm-hmm. And I guess this came out when we were sort of growing up. I mean, I don't remember the actual date of it, but I don't know that there's a whole lot that needs to be told about the...
It's got to be in the 80s, right?
I don't know. We should have probably done a little bit of research. But I know that when our kids were old enough to start watching movies, especially like in the car and stuff, this was one that they just kept begging to watch over and over. So I can hear it from the, I was always driving when we were traveling, and I could just, I think I know this movie, by heart. But a great movie. So if you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert. I mean, come on. You've seen the movie. You know what it's about anyway. So the little kid gets left at home while his parents and all the family load up on an airplane and head out of town for Christmas. And he's left home alone, and he thinks he made his family disappear.
Yeah, because he wished for it.
Yeah.
Because he didn't like any of them.
And so for the next couple of days, it's just the adventures that he has. But the main,
the scene that we watched over and over and over again with the boys.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's what everybody thinks about when they think about Home Alone, because there are 2 thieves, and the thieves make plans to hit all of the houses around the neighborhood when nobody's there, and he catches wind of it. He overhears them talking about that they're going to hit his house. And so these 2 hilarious thieves decide they're going to break in and rob his house, but he's there, and he takes matters into his own hands. And, of course, I mean, surely people just watch that scene over and over and over when he fights the thieves. And
he sets booby traps.
Yeah, it's great. So you're probably going, what in the world? There's nothing about marriage. I mean, there's not even, I mean, there is a married couple, but they're not ever hardly together. Mm-mm. It's just the little boy, Little boy and the two thieves.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want me to tell what we're going to talk about?
Yes, tell about it. You're on a roll.
So here's where we want to go with this today. There are the two thieves are the big. That's the plot of the whole story. And these two thieves are going to come break in and rob the house. And we just want to kind of twist this a little bit and just talk about how, well, first of all, Scripture says that there's an enemy.
Yep.
And that the enemy, he comes to steal and to kill and to destroy. He's a thief.
Yep. And
the thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And that is the same enemy that is after our marriages.
That's right.
And just a few months ago when we kicked off Season 2, we talked specifically about believing the lies of the enemy. And we went through 2 episodes where we kind of shared our story, the beginning part of our story, and how the enemy just wants us to believe all these lies. And I just really believe that right now here at Christmas, I mean, especially right after Christmas, a lot of marriages are going to be under attack if they're not already under attack. Mm-hmm. Because the Christmas season, there's so many emotions to it. And there's good emotions, but there's also really tough and hard emotions. And sometimes people will kind of hit the pause button on their struggles and their marriage problems. Maybe it's just for kids or whatever. But they'll hit the pause button for a few days and just kind of maybe fake being happy during the Christmas season. And then, here it is the next day, and it's back to life as normal. And I would even say that there's some couples out there that listen to us that they probably put a lot of stuff on hold, just even, their disagreements, their arguments, their whatever. And there may be, it may be that we're holding this together through Christmas. Mm-hmm. And then, after Christmas, throwing in waving the white flag.
Mm-hmm. Throwing in the towel,
waving the white flag. So what we want to talk about just is the response of the little boy to the thieves that were coming to steal and to rob his house.
He knew they were coming.
He knew they were coming. And that's the thing that I really want us to, that's the first point that I want us to make. We know it's coming.
That's right.
Like
it's not a surprise.
If you're married, it's coming.
That's right.
And,
the enemy wants to destroy our marriages so that he can destroy our families.
Right.
I mean, like if he can.
Generations.
Because, sometimes you think, oh, it's just our marriage, but it's generations. We talked about that a little bit last time, that it changes the trajectory of your family. And so if he can attack your marriage and get that, then he has so much hold over the rest of it.
And so there's a couple of things that the little boy did that I just think that we need to point out. And the first one is the real obvious, I guess this is the obvious thing, is, he knew they were coming. And he could have chosen to run away or hide or, go to a neighbor's house or whatever, but he chose to stay there and fight the thieves.
Yeah, and, I think that a lot of times too many people just decide to run away from their marriage. It's just like, I know this is going to be hard. I don't want to put in the hard work. I don't want to deal with all of the things, the fallout from this. And so instead, I just run away. It's, it feels easier. It feels less scary. It feels safer to do that. Yeah. But he didn't. He stayed and fought. He fought.
Yep. So he stayed there and he made sure that he knew exactly what he was going to do. And that's the next part that I really want us to dive into a little bit is he had a plan. Drew it out.
Mm-hmm.
He had
a map.
And the thing that was so cool about it, he knew all of the danger spots in the house. Like he knew exactly where the thieves were going to try to enter.
Yep.
He knew where they were going to try to get in and the things where he was going to be most susceptible.
Right.
And so that's where he set those booby traps or warnings. I mean, a lot of them, it was more to warn him that that's where they were.
Yeah.
And so he was always one step ahead of the thieves.
Yep. I mean, even when they got there, remember he stuck the little BB gun out of the dog, the
doggy door.
Yeah, the doggy door. So, I mean, like, he wasn't waiting on them to come in. Mm-mm. He's like, let's do this thing, you know. And I think that's such a perfect picture of what we have to do for our marriages, and putting boundaries in place and putting hedges of protection around us, asking God to put hedges of protection around us, and not letting the enemy into those places where we feel weak and we know that we're weak, or that we are susceptible, like you said earlier, to certain things. Then we know that that's where the enemy is going to attack us. He's not creative. I mean, it's not like he comes up with, unique ways to get us. He knows where we're weak. Mm-hmm. He knows where we have voiced areas of concern, or we have voiced areas where our spouse might get on our nerves, or areas that we're weak. And he's like, okay, well, if that's where you're weak, let me attack there. And so, just like, what was his name in the movie? Kevin? Yeah. So just like Kevin knew that the windows were going to be a place, or, they may come in the basement. Mm-hmm. That's right. And try to sneak up that way. All of the ways that he saw that were going to be a problem, he put something in place to say, you're not coming in this way. Mm-hmm. And I love that. Like, and it's not just ways that we feel susceptible, because I think sometimes we have pride in that, no, our marriage isn't going to take a hit like that, or our marriage wouldn't go through that, or our children wouldn't cause that. But looking at other people's marriages and seeing, gosh, they do that well, or even they got hurt. Mm-hmm. Through that. And so I'm going to put a wall of protection up in that area so that doesn't happen to my marriage. Mm-hmm. So it's not just learning from areas that you're weak, but hearing, like, from podcasts like this one, or reading in scripture or in self-help books that tell us ways that that the enemy likes to attack. Yep. And be ready for it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think this is a great transition into the new year. I mean, we've just finished up Christmas, and there's always 1 week. It's not usually. There's 1 week between Christmas and New Year's every year. And a lot of times what a lot of people will do is that they start to take an inventory of their lives, and the different areas of their lives, and they'll kind of set up these New Year's resolutions or goals or whatever it might be. And I think from the movie, you can just take away the whole planning part of it. I loved the scene where you see him kind of roll out the blueprint of his house. And, a lot of times that's what the new year is about for people, is kind of, at your job, you're setting goals, and you're thinking about things. Obviously, your physical life, a lot of people make those New Year's resolutions, and, that's why those first few weeks of January, the gym is packed, And so there's a lot of things that we can do sort of to unroll that blueprint of our lives and just start kind of taking an inventory and really a real plan. Like, what's the plan? And that's what he did in the movie. He had a plan, and you could see it drawn out on that blueprint. And so what I want to encourage our listeners to do, and we're going to talk some after the first of the year about the different areas of our lives and how we can take inventory to improve our marriage and all those different areas of our life. And I think this is just the perfect time to do that, is to look at these different areas, look at the areas that Satan may be already attacking you, or you just know that that's a weakness or weak spot, and you go ahead and you make a plan. Because if Kevin McCallister had sat back at the house and said, well, I know they're coming, and once they get here, I hope they don't catch me, but no, dude was proactive. Like, he knew exactly every plan, every step of the way. And obviously, and even for him, there were curveballs that came along. Like they got through a couple of and he had to sort of have a backup plan. But he had a backup plan to his plan. And so he was able just to always be one step ahead. And I think that using this last week of 2021 to be prepared for what's coming in 2022 and to make yourself a real blueprint and just an action steps to know how you're going to protect your marriage and how you're going to grow your marriage. Like, what are all the different ways that you can grow in your marriage in 2022?
Yep. This has been a fun series. Like, I really have enjoyed these lessons, and they're just good reminders as we end this year together of how to I'm just trying to go back to the first ones. What was the
Christmas vacation?
What was our lesson from that? That it's not always perfect.
Yeah.
That,
expectations.
And then the second one, Jingle All the Way, is, engaging and being present.
The gift of being present.
Yep. Yeah. And then last week, It's a Wonderful Life is not that comparison is the thief of joy. Not comparing your marriage to others. And really just, not necessarily my favorite movie, but the favorite topic so far is just being, making sure that you are protecting your marriage, because I think that one means so much to me, because we know that the enemy was attacking our marriage, and the guardrails and the everything boundaries that we've put up to make sure that doesn't happen again. I just wish, I just can't tell people enough how important that is.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So we just want to encourage you and give you hope as you start the new year. We want you to really take this next year as being this is going to be the year that we want you to just really dive in and work on your marriage in a way that when you get to the end of 2022, you'll look back and go, man, this was the best year of our marriage. And so we hope that for everybody, no matter what season of your marriage you're in and what stage and how tough things are, this is the time to make the changes and make the difference in your marriage. And if you are one of those that's out there and you're kind of at least flirting with the idea of fleeing and getting out and throwing in the towel or waving the white flag or whatever it is, maybe this is the week that you just take that time to sort of open up that blueprint of your marriage and just figure out, how can I fight for it? How can I fight for it? And how can I
choose to honor God in it? Yeah.
And just fight for my marriage as we go into the new year. So, hey, we are very appreciative of all of our listeners. We posted something earlier this week about how we pray for people that, leave us comments or send us personal messages, through social media. We actually have a spreadsheet that we have all of the names of these people, you guys that have reached out to us and said, can you pray for this and this? And we really do that. So we want you to know as you head into this new year that you're being prayed for. And we want to encourage others of you, if you've got something that you want to share with us, or just that you need prayer, just let us know, and we would love to add you to our list. We just think that prayer is so powerful, and we want to be a part of your marriage in that way. We might not be able to sit with you face to face, but we can intercede on your behalf, and we would love to do that for you. So reach out to us. Let us know how we can help. Also, I know we say this every time, but if you can leave a rating or a review, those things help to get our podcast in front of more listeners. And we would just love to reach more people in 2022. So you can do your part and help us with that by sharing. And also just share with your friends. I love when people come up to us in the community or at church or even just through messages, through social media, and say, hey, I've shared your podcast with friends. And that just means a lot to us. So thank you for doing that. And we'll be excited to come back in a week and kick off the new year with you. So until then, Merry Christmas and
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. See you next time.